Dividend investing is a lot like playing a video game. Like the more you play Skyrim, for example, the more XP your character will gain, and then over time, they'll continue to level up and unlock new achievements, and the same thing actually happens in your portfolio. If you stay consistent with it, over time, your portfolio will grow, which is like gaining XP, and along the way, you'll level up as an investor, and you will constantly hit new milestones in your portfolio, which is something that just happened to me. I just received my highest dividend payment ever, like of all time, and in this video, I'm gonna tell you all about it, because it's actually more like 3 milestones all at once, which I'll explain. But before we get to that, in case you're new to the channel, my name is Ryne, and here we strictly talk about dividend stocks and how you can invest in them to create passive income and reach financial freedom. So if you love dividend stocks and if you're on a mission to retire early, then hit that subscribe button. I'd love to stay in touch as we both continue to grow our portfolios and collect that cash flow. And also leave me a comment below and let me know what's been your single highest dividend payment so far and which stock did it come from. I'm curious to know. Anyway, guys, if we look at the dividend log page inside my portfolio tracking spreadsheet, which you can start using for free. There is a link to download this spreadsheet in the description of the video. But anyway, up until this point, the highest dividend payment I'd ever received was from Altria Group, who paid me $48.10 back in January of this year. And like I said, up until this point, this was the highest payment I had ever received. And because Altria is a quarterly pair, they also paid me $48.10 in April, and they paid it once again in July. With that said, my new highest payment ever, this one that I just received, has also come from Altria Group, but this time they paid me $50.15. So we beat the previous record by a couple dollars there. And like I said earlier, this new high payment actually represents 3 different dividend income milestones all at once. Number 1, obviously this is my new highest payment ever, so that's the first milestone. But also number 2, this is the first time that I have ever been paid a dividend that was over $50. I remember a couple of years ago not even making this much in a month or in a couple months even, and now getting that in one individual payment is pretty surreal. Anyway, now that I'm at a point with Altria where it's paying me $50 per quarter, this means that I am getting over $200 per year from this one company alone, and that's the third milestone. This is the first time that's ever happened. Now, what's especially cool about this, even though this new record payment was only a couple dollars more than the previous one, I didn't have to buy any more shares for this new record and this extra income boost to occur. In fact, I haven't added any shares of Altria for about a year. The last time I put any money into this position was last October. Instead, the extra couple of dollars that I'll be getting moving forward came as a result of the company raising their dividend. They announced it a couple of months ago at the end of August, so this news isn't entirely new, but Altria's raise was 4.3% this year, which is pretty solid. The company has quite an extensive track record of making these increases. You see, Altria is a dividend king, which means that they've increased their dividend every year for at least 50 consecutive years, and some other companies that share this royal title with them are Target, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and Lowe's. In Altria's case, they've been growing the dividend for the last 53 straight years, and this is one of the highest yielding stocks in my portfolio. We can see their forward yield here is very high, not too far off from being double digits, and to this day, I've received more income from Altria than any other stock in my portfolio. Going back over to my spreadsheet, I've made $453.28 in dividends from this one company alone, which if you just scan up and down this column here, you can see is quite a bit more than any of the other stocks in my portfolio. And this income has really come in handy because just in terms of share price, I'm not seeing much of a return at this point with Altria. I'm only up about 0.1% right now. But on a total return basis, if you include the dividends in the calculation, my return is looking a lot better. I'm up almost 21%. Now, it actually doesn't happen too often that I'm at a break-even share price with Altria Group. Historically, the share price has been quite above my average cost per share. However, like many stocks out there, and actually like many dividend kings out there, Altria's share price has been on the decline. Looking at Altria's share price performance just in the last month, it's really not been anything too crazy. They're down less than 1%. Not too shabby at all, but if we look at their year-to-date performance, they're down quite a bit more. They're down 5.8%, and actually all of these losses, or pretty much all of these losses rather, have come just in the last 6 months. And with this drop in share price, if we go over to the valuation page, we can see that Altria's PE ratio is looking very low right now, sitting at about 8.5, which is about 16.5% below the company's 5-year average. Furthermore, if we scroll down and look at the company's forward price to cash flow, this is also sitting very low in the single digits, 9.2, which is about 11.6% below the company's 5-year average price to cash flow. So both of these relative valuation metrics are looking pretty sweet. And having said that, even though the share price is down and the valuation is looking nice, I'm actually not buying any more Altria right now, and I don't have any plans to. If we look at how Altria is diversified in my portfolio, admittedly, it's really not a huge position of mine. It's about 4.6% of my total portfolio by weighting. However, if we look at the diversification by income, this tells a bit of a different story. Altria Group represents a much larger chunk of my portfolio's income than it does weighting. It currently makes up 8.75% of my portfolio's overall income, which makes it the highest income generator in my portfolio. Right behind Altria Group, we have OBDC making up 8.2% of my total income. In third place, we have Realty Income making up 7.9% of my overall income, and this is a position that I have been adding to quite a bit lately. My fourth largest income generator is EPD, making up 7.5% 8.6% of my overall income, and then in 5th place we have KRC at 7.4%. But anyway, going back to Altria Group and its position as my top income generator, it's getting pretty close to being at a point where I would consider the income that it's generating to be a bit too overweight. The rule of thumb that I try to follow is to keep any position 10% or less of my overall portfolio. This is both in terms of weighting, so the amount invested in the position, and also in terms of income, how much income it's generating across my entire portfolio. I don't want any one particular position to be too heavily weighted in either one of these categories. So with that said, making up 8.75% of my total income, I don't necessarily feel uncomfortable with that. Like I said, it's getting to be at the upper level of where I'd like to see it. But with that said, I'm not sure that I want to add any more to this position. I'd like to be a bit more diversified in terms of where my income is coming from. Even though Altria is a dividend king, and for now the dividend seems safe, it doesn't seem at any risk of being cut, it is a crazy world out there, okay? And anything could happen at any given time. So with that said, as much as I would love to add more to some of the dividend kings in my portfolio, like Altria Group, I would just feel a lot better allocating money into some of the other ones, like the 3 that I'm telling you about in this next video right over here. These 3 dividend kings have been getting absolutely destroyed lately, and my plan moving forward is to start adding more to these 3. So click right over here to check them out, and I'll see you in the next one.